Yo everybody, it's Fitness65. I'm re-uploading this video. Like what I said in my previous video that I deleted, I was just got done playing SmackDown vs. Raw 2010, and I just was going on YouTube to just watch some videos or something like that, and then I came across Spinnernet's video talking about Umaga passing away. Wasn't sure if this was true or not, so I went on one of the wrestling sites to see if it had be true, because I was like shaking my head, like I didn't want to believe it, because I'm one of those people that when someone dies, I just don't want to believe it, and so it could be like a hoax or something like that. But it was confirmed on many of the wrestling sites that Umaga, Eddie Fatu, who you know best as Umaga, passed away earlier today, or earlier today, I think, or yesterday, I'm not sure. His wife found him watching TV, not breathing. So they took him to the hospital, and then they said he was coughing up blood, and he had blood coming out of his mouth, and he had blood coming out of his nose, and then they had him on life support, and I guess they took him off life support because there was nothing they could do, and that was it. Umaga. When I heard about this, well, that's the story I heard about, and when I heard about this, it kind of caught me off guard. I was like, wow, this guy hadn't been for it wasn't like this guy was away from the wrestling business for a while, like most wrestlers who tend to pass away. I mean, this guy was doing the Hulk Hogan thing in Australia, and he was having a match with Mr. Kennedy, and that was his last match with Mr. Kennedy. And so it wasn't like he was gone from the wrestling business. He was working wrestling. He was touring with Hulk Hogan, doing the whole Hulk Hogan thing, and having a match with Mr. Kennedy. So it's a shame to lose such a wrestler like of this caliber, because the guy outside of the wrestling business was a good, kind-hearted person. He was a nice guy. Talk to him, and you talk to him, and he was very friendly outside of the wrestling business. Most wrestlers aren't very friendly, and they don't want to talk to you and stuff like that. But when you talk to him outside of the wrestling business, the guy was just a kind-hearted guy, and just nice outside of the wrestling business. Also, he was a very good worker. Probably, in my opinion, one of the best big man workers of all time. You got, well, with up there with my list of the best big man wrestlers of all time, up there with Bam Bam Bigelow, Yokozuna, Andre the Giant when he was in his prime, and many other big men that can actually wrestle. I mean, this guy was very agile for a big man and can do most moves that most big men couldn't do, and that's what made him, in my opinion, one of the best big men in the wrestling business. And it's a shame to lose such a guy, such a wrestler, the caliber of Umaga. He was just very entertaining when he was part of 3 Minute Warning, beating guys up. I'm not sure who he was, whether it was Rosie or Jamal, because it was hard to tell those two apart. But when he was a part of 3 Minute Warning, that group who was just destroying wrestlers, and whenever Eric Bischoff or whoever was telling them to, they would come out and just beat down wrestlers. It was entertaining doing that. And then, of course, they took him out and put him as a team with Hurricane, and he won the tag team titles with Hurricane numerous times. And then, of course, they fired him, and then they repackaged him back as rehired him, and they repackaged him as Umaga, and thus his career in WWE took off as the Umaga character. He had a very good run as Umaga. He went on that undefeated streak by beating. He went on undefeated streak when he came as Umaga. Beat Ric Flair, beat guys like Triple H, beat guys like Shawn Michaels. And then, of course, his undefeated streak ended when John Cena ended up beating him. But still, the character was pretty much built right. And then, of course, he had his run in '07. He was part of that Battle of the Billionaires with Vince McMahon and Donald Trump, where he put his Intercontinental title, well, it was the Intercontinental Champion against the ECW Champion, Bobby Lashley against Umaga. That was a pretty entertaining matchup for what it was. And in my opinion, Umaga pretty much carried Bobby Lashley to somewhat of a decent matchup, and Bobby Lashley did hold his own, but Umaga sort of made that match watchable. And of course, you had Stone Cold Steve Austin, and then of course he had his other he had that feud with Jeff Hardy, which I pretty much enjoyed, and then of course he had that that face turn, that brief face turn, and then they turned him heel. And then he had his feud with Triple H, which he held his own in that feud. In my opinion, though, he should have went over in that feud because he just kind of looked weak a little bit in that feud against Triple H. As he was just Triple H just absorbed everything that he threw at everything Umaga threw at him, but still he was getting looked at more, and he was getting pushed even more after that. And then of course he had his final run, I believe, in on SmackDown, where they had him have a feud against CM Punk, which turned out to be a really good, decent feud, and it looked like it was going somewhere. But then the WWE fired him for failing the WWE wellness policy. But still, overall, Umaga had a pretty good, decent WWE run, whether it was with 3-minute warning or whether he had that multiple tag team. He had that tag team run with the Hurricane, or whether he was a Umaga. The guy, in my opinion, was just a very good, entertaining character, and he could always put on a good match, and he always tried whenever he got in the ring, and he always gave it 110% no matter who he was up against. And it's a shame to lose such a wrestler like Umaga, Eddie Fatu, who was best known as Umaga. Such a shame to lose a guy like that, a good, kind-hearted guy like that. And my thoughts and prayers and my condolences go out to his family, his wife, his kids, his friends, and everyone who knew him. My thoughts and prayers go out to them. And all I gotta say is rest in peace, Eddie Fatu, Umaga. You were a very good big man, and in my opinion, you're probably one of the best big men in the wrestling business. And it's a shame you didn't get a WWE title, or you didn't get a bigger run than you should have gotten. But we just best know you for Umaga, and that's the character we all know and love you as. And rest in peace. And like I said, it's a shame you didn't get the run that you should have gotten in the WWE, because I felt you were one of the wrestlers in the WWE that got that should have got used better than what you got used. But you had a decent run. But yeah, like what else? You had a good, decent run, but you should have had a better run than what you had. But yeah, that's just pretty much my video. R.I.P. Eddie Fatu. Like what I was saying, thoughts and prayers go out to your family and friends and your children, and that's pretty much it. R.I.P. Umaga. Enjoyed your work in the wrestling business, and like what I was saying, hope we don't lose another wrestler, because this year's just been a real tragedy when it came to wrestling and the entertainment business, and now we lose another person. This time it's in the wrestling business, Umaga. But like I said, R.I.P. Umaga, and thank you for watching. And like I said, hopefully we don't lose another wrestler. But yeah, that's my video. Rate, comment, tell me what you think about your memories about Umaga, and that's pretty much it. Till then, I'm out. Peace. Rest. R.I.P. Umaga.